Hello and welcome back to another command block tutorial. I hope you guys are feeling energized because today we are making mana.
Magic missile! Magic missile! Magic missile! Magic missile! Magic missile! Magic missile! I'm out of mana! I need a
As you guys can kind of see on the bottom of my screen here, I have these like green zeros at the bottom of my screen. That is actually the representation of the mana that I have. And I have a little demonstration where basically every time I sneak, I go invisible, and it drains some mana. And I'll even remove my sword, and then if I run out of mana, I run out of invisibility. Now, there's all kinds of things you can do. You could have spells, you could have little energy drain things like I just represented there. There's all kinds of things that you could do with mana. I just have like a very simple demonstration, because this is more something that I think you guys should implement with your own worlds. Similar to the status effect videos I made a couple of weeks ago, this isn't really necessarily just a thing in and of itself. This is something to kind of enhance and increase some of the things that you guys are doing with your own creations. But anyways, let's get right into it. To start off, we are going to be using a scoreboard, and I have this little scoreboard. This is just type this in a chat. You can put it in impulse command. You only need to type this command out once. If you guys have never used scoreboards before and you don't really know how to, I do have a full tutorial on that, and I highly recommend you check out that video before doing more stuff with command blocks, because it might be difficult. Let's get into the actual commands that we have going on here. So to start out, we just have this command on a 2-tick delay. That is important. This is what's going to be giving me my mana back after I'm done using it. So basically we're saying as long as my mana is less than 99, go ahead and give me one more mana. And just so you guys can get a better idea of what's actually happening, I'm going to turn the display on real quick. So you can see I'm at 100 mana right now, and whenever I sneak and turn invisible, it's going to slowly be decreasing that number. And because I'm standing up, but I'm not at 100, it's going to start increasing as soon as I'm standing up. Now, of course, you can use your mana for more than just detecting sneaking. You can do it with all kinds of other things I've shown to make all kinds of different things happen. It doesn't just have to be sneaking to turn invisible. Like, just keep that in mind. This is just the demonstration that I'm using so you guys can get an idea on how to use it. But you can see I have sneak to decrease, and then it's going up. So what we're actually doing in order to change the level of the mana that we have right here is we're going over here and we're saying, basically, if a player has over 5 mana, and then we're doing some sneak detection here, and if you have not seen sneak detection, I have a full tutorial on that as well. It's a separate thing. But basically, if the player is sneaking and they have more than 5 mana, go ahead and give them invisibility. Then we're basically going over here to this command. This is also on a 2-tick delay, mind you. That is important. All the other commands are on a 0-tick delay, just the one that makes the mana go up and down are not. This is a very similar command. If the player has more than 5 mana and they're sneaking, go ahead and remove 5 mana from them. And that's it. That makes the mana go up and down. Now I have 2 other commands here that are kind of specific to the invisibility. This one is going to cancel it as soon as you stand up. Instead of the sneak detect that we had unless here, now we're using if, so that's just gonna do the reverse. If you've not used the execute command, once again I have a full tutorial on that. I imagine for most of you, you guys are probably a little bit experienced with commands, but if not, I do have full tutorials on these things. Anyways, what we have here is we're detecting if the player stands up, immediately make the invisibility go away. And we're doing that, if you've never seen this, by giving the invisibility a duration of 0. That's how we're making the invisibility go away. Similarly, if the player has less than 5 mana, so 4 or lower mana, then we're just going to take the invisibility away as well. And it's pretty simple. Realistically, if you've done anything with scoreboards, you might have done something similar to this. So the other part that we want to see, if I actually take away the scoreboard display, and this is just kind of how the player would see it if they're normally playing on one of your worlds. We see this bar at the bottom, and that kind of represents how much energy we have. So even though we don't know the exact number, which is kind of good because it looks a little bit nicer, we kind of have an idea of how much energy we actually have. So what we're doing here is we have a bunch of tidal scoreboards that are just going to be displaying something based on whatever scoreboard I have. So as you can see here, if I have 0 to 19 mana, it's just going to give me 5 red zeros. So if I run out of mana, you can see what that looks like. It means I'm out of mana. Like, it's pretty obvious what's going on here. And then as soon as I unsneak, you'll see that it's going to start slowly building back up. It's not necessarily the most accurate because obviously we could display the number. This is kind of make it more graphical so you kind of have an idea of what's happening without always telling the player every little detail. Next up, we have a very similar command. In fact, it's exactly the same one. The only difference here is that instead of all red zeros, we have one green one and then multiple red ones. This is for when the mana is 20 to 39. And additionally, if you guys haven't seen these color symbols, that's how we're differentiating. Now, the other cool thing about the system is if you wanted to make it zeros, you could. I'm going to keep it zeros for this sake, but if you wanted to make it zeros, you could make it parentheses or brackets. You can make it anything you want. And you could also make it so it's a lot bigger of a bar. For instance, I only have 5 zeros here. I could maybe make it 10 zeros and then make this number like half as big. So make it only 10 to like 19 or something like that. So you can customize your bar to basically fit whatever your needs are. I did a very small bar just using zeros because it's simpler to explain for the tutorial, but you guys can be customizing this, add as many sections as you want, but just know you'll need a separate command block for every different way that your mana bar can be displayed. So if you have 10 segments, you're going to need 11 command blocks. If there's 20 different segments, then you're going to need 21 different command blocks. I did only 5, so that way it's short for the tutorial, but if you guys want more, absolutely do more. In fact, I recommend it for most situations because, quite frankly, this is a little bit too small for the majority of situations. Next up, we're doing the same thing. We're just counting up in the mana, and then we're just counting up in the number of colored greens versus the color of reds. Additionally, you could change the colors if you wanted to make it, for instance, you can make it blue. What's that blue? You can make it blue and like, I think this is gray, or you can make it purple or whatever. You can change the colors to be anything that you really want, which is quite nice because then you can kind of customize it to be fitting with whatever project you might be working on. So I'm just going to kind of go through the last few just so you guys can see them all, but I'm not really going to explain it because I think I've already described what all is functioning here. And yeah, really the main goal of this video is just for your guys' worlds, for your projects. If you have special unique abilities, especially things that aren't consumables, things that can be used on repeat, mana or energy or whatever you want to call it, is a really good way to add levels of dynamics to your worlds. For instance, you could have more powerful abilities, drain more mana. It's just a really good way to enhance the level of combat or abilities or whatever you have going on in your world. Anyways, I hope you guys found this video to be useful. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. But as I say every video, I highly recommend joining our Discord instead. You're going to get an answer probably better. And there's some things I can't explain during the comments section. There's a lot of good people who are going to help you. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. And